This is your defense. Please. Your puny faith?
No. My keen fashion sense.
What is up, Schlock's Bluff? We are here at the High Plains Mini-Cons. We have a very special movie to talk about today. This was a special one from my childhood called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Not what you're thinking, not the Sarah Michelle Gellar TV show, but the original 1992 movie. What's up, Chris?
How's it going? It's nice to be out here today in beautiful Scotts Bluff. The weather's nice. There's lots of cool people walking around, and yeah. So you watched this movie again last week? When was the last time you'd seen it?
I think the last time I saw this movie was probably in 1992 when it came out. I was a kid, and I remember it being a very, very scary movie.
Was it just as scary this time?
Yes, but in a different way.
I have the same feeling, yeah.
So I think we might have a lot to say about this one. So I want to get in some statistics here really quick. Just we always like to kind of start off with how much the movie cost to make, and then how much it actually made after it was released. That way we can sort of gauge how schlocky is this movie. So it cost $7 million to make. You're looking at my notes here. How much do you think? How much do you think it made? Do you think it made its money back?
I do.
Well, you're right. It made $16+ million. So by Hollywood standards, that is not a schlocky movie. That is actually a successful movie, enough to where they would maybe make a sequel or perhaps make a TV series. Yeah. So it was also directed by Fran Rubel Kuzui, which really is a one-hit schlock wonder. The Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie was really kind of the only thing that this director made. They got production credit on the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series, but I guess they didn't actually do anything with the series. It's just the fact that they directed the movie that they get credit for the entire series, and I thought that was very interesting. Another notable thing, so probably the most relevant person involved in this movie is the fact that it was written by Joss Whedon. I don't know how you say his last name. Whedon? Anyway, some of you may know him from the classic Firefly series, the tragically ended too soon Firefly series. He made the Avengers, the first couple Avengers movies, and Serenity. Cabin in the Woods. He made the Justice League movie. He actually directed that, and that's a whole other conversation about schlock right there, the Justice League movie. But so interestingly enough, he was not happy with this movie.
If I were him, I wouldn't be happy with this movie either.
Oh, really? Well, we'll get into that. But apparently Donald Sutherland was kind of
I couldn't bring myself to say I was making a film called Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Not a nice person, and it really bothered him on set. They changed a bunch of things. They made it so that the movie wasn't as dark as he had originally predicted. So he was on set as a consultant, and then eventually threw his hands up and walked off.
Really?
So, apparently that was not his original vision.
Yeah, from the series to that movie, I can see how the vision kind of went astray. So, anything else before we dive into the good, the bad, and the schlock?
No, let's do it. Let me say, for the good, I'll start this time. You usually start.
Yeah, what's good?
You said there is a lot of scary things in this movie. Oh, wait, no, I said that. I don't know. It's early morning, folks. Early for me, anyway. I think the movie was actually really fun. I enjoyed all of the characters. I thought the dialogue was definitely cheesy in some parts, but there's definitely things in this movie that have stuck with me my entire life. Paul Reubens' character, what is his name? Hamelin. When he says he gets his arm ripped off and he's mad about it, and he says, "He ruined my leather jacket."
You ruined my new jacket. Kill him a lot.
that's been in my brain like since 1992, since I was a little kid. So I think by way of it just being a fun movie with memorable lines, with memorable characters, I think that it is a good movie in that sense. Agree, disagree?
For the most part, agree. I thought it was a great cast. A lot of it retrospectively, because you see these characters who just had really bit parts that like completely had huge careers. There's like one small second where you see Ben Affleck. This is Hilary Swank.
Was that Ben Affleck?
That was Ben Affleck. Yep. And
I knew it.
And I realized right then they re-recorded my lines.
Hilary Swank's, I think, her film debut.
Don't worry. They can't come in unless they're invited.
I already invited them.
They're seniors.
The Stephen Root, man, the principal.
Yeah. Oh man, the whole time I was like, my stapler.
Hey, I have detention slips here, and I'm not afraid to use them.
Yeah. So I thought the casting was really good, although it wasn't really good back then. That's hard to say. You know, David Arquette was awesome.
Yeah.
Perry. Lots of great dialogue. Lots of great ideas. Lots of really fun, specific scenes. So yeah, I agree. That's good. That's about all I have to say about the good.
Well, I got one more good. I thought this movie was very interesting. So it's 1992. It's kind of at the cusp of going from the 80s into the 90s. So they have a lot of like the 80s neon colors, the leggings, the socks. That all felt very relevant today. It seemed like the movie could have taken place today. All they were missing were cell phones, essentially. Like the colors, very relevant. The outfits, very relevant. Just kind of the way the teenagers acted was very relevant. Like they're talking about what's our theme for the school dance. Like, oh, it should be the environment. They're like, what about it?
It felt very cyclical, and watching it now felt relevant.
Yeah,
watching it in 5 years from now, who knows?
Yeah, everything
5 years
comes
ago.
back around. Well, what if we watch it 30 more years from now? Then it'll probably be relevant again.
Then I will have failed.
Or we might be like, we might be back in the Renaissance by then.
Right, it's hard to say.
Hopefully that happens soon.
Should we get into the bad?
Yeah, bad. I feel like you have a lot to say about the bad.
I don't have
jump in,
a lot
hit me.
to say about the bad. It's just the bad's really bad. The directing is awful.
Well, first time director, last time director.
Right, and it shows. The changes they made, you can feel where Joss had an idea of things were going, and you can see in the show where they went, and you can see in the movie where like the powers that be steered it in a direction that I thought was just not very good. So lots of fun stuff. As a whole, not a great movie. It felt like someone watched Buffy and watched Clueless and then went back in time and decided to combine them.
Man, that's what I loved about it. I loved the Valley Girl.
I love the idea of it. I don't think they pulled it off. It felt like watching lesser Clueless and lesser Buffy instead of watching Clueless and Buffy.
Yeah, that feels true. That's a truism. I'll agree with that. I was thinking Clueless the entire time, but like maybe not as funny.
Yeah, so the idea I really like. I just don't think they pulled it off.
Excuse much, rude or anything?
What did you think was bad?
So I got two bad things. The main bad thing about this movie that I didn't enjoy, and it's not so much that I didn't enjoy it, the reason I didn't enjoy it is just because it kind of left me confused and wanting. And that's never a good state to be in. But so the villains, the vampires, Lothos, the main bad guy, what was their deal? What was their motivation? Why were they doing what they were doing? It seemed like maybe they wanted to turn the entire world into vampires, but it seems like they've killed all of the Slayers before, right? And so why haven't they taken the world over yet? What's like the strange connection? The violin when Paul Reubens is killed, like very funny scene. Did not get it.
the whole waiting, and so they could have killed her when they wanted, but she's not ready. It felt like there was a lot of really cool explanations that were left on the cutting room floor or left in a previous draft of the screenplay.
Yeah, having found out that Joss Whedon was not happy with the screenplay, that really fills in kind of like a lot of those blanks as to why things start
out so good in a scene and then go completely left field.
But yeah, there's a very strange theme that goes sort of halfway through the movie when Merrick dies, when the mentor dies, and he's like in his death throes, he's like, remember this? He talks about the music, and when the music stops, and I remember watching that, and I was like, music? Has that been a theme? Has he talked about this before? I don't remember him talking about this before. But then later, when Buffy is talking to Lothos, and he's playing the violin, and Paul Rubin is dying, and he's doing his awesome
one of the best scenes in the whole.
Ooh, ah, ow, ooh, ah, ah.
I mean, that's one of the best scenes ever. That's definitely something that has stuck with me the entire time. But Lothos, he's playing his violin with his gloves on, by the way. I don't know many violinists that can do that. But he's playing the violin, and it seems like as he's playing, Amblin, Paul Rubin, is he's still alive as long as the music is playing, is what it seems like. And then Buffy's like putting it together that like when the music stops, there's silence. And then once Lothos stops playing the violin, that's when Paul Rubin finally kicks it. And so it seems like, maybe there's a connection between music is what keeps the vampires alive.
That would be a cool idea. I don't think that that's what happened, because if you watch the mid-credit sequence, Paul Rubin is still alive.
Well, and then the music from the dance like immediately dies because Luke Perry puts David Arquette into the DJ booth, and the music dies, and that's when Buffy says, when the music is gone, there's silence, and then everything's silent. But I think the vampires are still alive, right? So anyway, I'm off on a tangent, but I'm trying to figure out what was going on, and that's why I think why that's bad about that movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about Vlad. I'd like to get to the schlock. Well, that's the fun part.
Let me get one more bad thing in, and I think this leads into the schlock. It's that the action, right? This is an action movie, you'd say, right? So it's just interesting watching it through modern eyes, right? Where we have the action that we have today. We have robots punching each other. We have superheroes like blasting each other. We're very inundated with blockbuster action now.
Well, we also have really good fight choreography.
Right. Well, and we've learned, I think, how to edit it a little bit better, so the action is more punchy. The action in this, the fighting, the kicking, the punching, the slaying, I thought was very slow. When Lothos kills Merrick, spoiler alert. Sorry, everybody. I should say this. There's spoiler alerts for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You've had nearly 30 years to watch it, so I don't feel too bad. But Lothos, the main bad guy, kills Merrick, the mentor, and it's like the slowest killing I've ever seen. He has the stake, and he just slowly turns it and like slowly pushes it in, and I'm like, just move, man.
Yep.
Let go of the stake.
Yeah, there's lots of that. Everything seems slowed down. Lots of flipping and twirling for no reason.
Yeah,
and it's not shot very fun. Like, I would love to have flipping and twirling that actually paid off more than once, and that looked cool.
You don't like flipping and twirling?
No, just for its not for its own sake. Yeah, you got to make it look cool and have it actually matter. So there's so much schlock in this film. It's so cheesy, but there's some of it. It's so much fun. Like iconic scenes. Pee Wee Herman's death scene.
Yeah.
We talked about that, but that is just beyond iconic. When David Arquette is floating outside the window and he's trying to get invited in, that scene has stuck with me since I was a kid.
When I was a kid, that scared me. Like, I was like, this movie is terrifying.
Right? Because you have a window, you're upstairs.
Well, it's your buddy, right? Like, and you don't know, like, what his deal is.
Yeah.
Like, you should let him in, but he's, like, being weird. I mean, that can play out in real life.
It has the best line in the whole movie in my book, because his reason for not letting him in is, you're floating, man.
You're floating. Come on, man. Get away from here. I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Yeah, so watching it now, very schlocky, right?
And hilarious, yeah.
I mean, you'd be like, if your buddy was floating outside your window, not only would you not let them in, I don't know, shoot them, you slay them?
I have a question.
I don't know.
That scene specifically, where he's floating outside the window, for some reason, over the years, I've confused it with a scene in Lost Boys. Is there a scene like that in Lost Boys?
I can't specifically remember. I know there's a lot of floating in Lost Boys.
Yeah, the whole window scene. But yeah, that's one of those iconic things.
Are you perhaps confusing it with the scene where they are hanging off of the bridge and they each let go, and then he's like, oh no, everyone like just dropped to their death, but then they like come out of the mist. He's like, how are you guys doing that? And then he lets go and then dies.
Yes.
Lost Boys also came out a long time ago, so give me a break for the spoilers.
What was schlocky to you about Buffy the Vampire Slayer '92?
I think in the end, it's a lot of the dialogue, a lot of the slow action. I think I really kind of hit it. One thing that I'm really impressed with. But I think that this adds to the schlock. Something I'm always impressed with watching older movies. I'm always impressed with how much story they fit in an hour and a half worth of time. Like right now, it's not uncommon for us to have a 2.5 hour 3 movie, and there's obviously a lot of story that goes on in them, but seeing this movie, I was like, man, they have this whole background with the Slayers, they have this Lothos stuff, they're building this love story, they're like building the story of this female character going from Vapid Valley Girl to BA Slayer, and they crammed that in about an hour and a half. And like good or bad, I think it definitely suffered from that. And I think maybe movies are better now to take the time.
Yeah, some of it felt rushed, and some of it. What I liked is that a lot of scenes pushed the story forward. So
right.
That's where you have the quicker pace and more things within an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole arc from her being a cheerleader into a Slayer just seemed so fast and so strange and arbitrary. Like, what person in their right mind would go to a graveyard with some creepy old guy and find vampires?
Well, he knew her dreams, man.
Yeah. It was strange. There were lots of like great ideas for scenes, like the basketball scene.
Okay, people, they're psyching you out. Let's not be so defensive out there, okay? Now, what do we say on the court? Repeat after me. I am a person. I have a right to the ball. Good. All right.
I thought could have been really fun, and there was some great imagery in it, but it just.
It should have gone on longer. It seemed very Teen Wolf, but with vampires.
Right.
If we all work together, it'll all work out. Are you with me? Now get out there.
It's like, well, we have an idea here. And what was up with the where Merrick died at? What kind of place was that? Was that like an abandoned amusement park?
A Mardi Gras amusement park.
Because yeah, it wasn't a normal amusement park. It looked very Mardi Gras. It was just. It felt very Tim Burton-y, but not in that cool Tim Burton way, just in a wannabe way.
Yeah, it looked like a place where Mardi Gras floats go to die in Los Angeles, or wherever they are.
The whole idea of vampires felt like they had no grasp on how they looked. Like you could be changed into a vampire, but also if you were killed, then you could come out of your grave as a vampire.
Yeah, so the first vampire that Buffy kills, they take her to the grave and they say, this guy, he's been killed 3 days ago. So it seems like they have this very strict idea of, okay,
3 days later you rise again.
Right, but that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like you can become vampire immediately.
If they're trying to take over the world and they're randomly taking people turning into vampires, why are all the vampires at the end high schoolers?
I mean, they for the movie, so they could come into the dance, which is one of my favorite lines. Right, the vampires can't come in unless they're invited in. Well, I invited them in. Why would you do that? They're seniors.
They're seniors!
That's a great line. And it got really silly in parts, but that was some of my favorite stuff, like where the principal started giving all the vampires detention.
Oh, man.
Detention.
It's just so bizarre, but I loved it. Detention. Yeah, I wanted more of that. So
yeah, it really needed to either go that direction or go away from that.
Yeah,
become more serious.
I'm glad it exists. I just wish it was a little better because I have such fond memories of it. Yeah, anything else, man? What else?
Well, so I picked Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's your turn to pick a movie. Do you have anything in mind?
I have a couple ideas in mind. You know what? We should do Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Oh, man. Love it.
Yeah. So that will be
Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
Hell Comes to Frogtown. So Rowdy Piper, wrestler, I think he was Hulk Hogan's nemesis.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, you may know him from such great films as They Live.
Any other great films? I think those are the two that he did, right?
Yep.
And they are both masterpieces. So I can't wait to do Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Yeah, next Monday, if you tune in, we will be doing Hell Comes to Frogtown.
All right. Well, I think that is it for our show today. I'm Darby Ellis Lewis Wilson. This is Chris Anonymous. We have been compelled by Schlock, and we are getting out of here. Peace out.
Thanks for listening.
Fades up.